remember then calling him up saying I did 700 grand. It just felt absolutely incredible.
Michael Green hadn't done a single deal in 6 years. He'd been managing and training teams at scale for other people. We're talking over 100 recruiters at one time. But when he launched Unico in 2024, completely solo, he had to go back to basics.
I had to go back and do role plays to myself. I'd never actually qualified a candidate in 6 years.
Day one hit different for Michael.
It was just me in my house, which is really, really weird to go from working in an office of a large number of people, running large teams, being very engaging, to just suddenly me in the house.
But Michael did have something that most recruiters don't do. He had a genuine answer to the question, what makes you different?
We just pivoted the business. So this is no more 30 grand fees for Unico. We're going after the big fish.
While everyone else was competing on job boards and chasing live roles that are junior to mid-level in the market that he served, Michael just decided to go in the opposite direction. Senior positions only, architect level and above. This meant he was working with businesses like New York hedge funds with $675,000 salaries.
My average fee value went from 30 grand to about 60 grand. My biggest ever fee was 170 grand. But that process took me like 3 months. I mean, he had about 18 interviews. That's 170 grand revenue, which is sat with one person.
So look, this was a high risk, high reward strategy that Michael took. But here's what made it work.
Every single time which our client asks us for something, no matter how niche it is, we get it. I want to look back one day and say, I built something fucking cool. Something which I can look back and be proud of, I can tell my kids about.
So Michael actually wants to scale heads to over 100 recruiters in the US. But this conversation isn't about headcount. It's about building a business that's truly unique and lasts. He did $700,000 on his own in year one, and 20 months into his business in 2025, he's done over $1.5 million. He's built a team of 4 people. Next year, he's got a target of $3 million and growing to 15 people.
It all comes down to being different. Have a genuine go-to-market or value proposition to your clients, which makes them want to use you. You are just another recruitment company doing exactly the same, which your competitors have done for the last 10 years.
So if you want to build a genuinely different recruitment agency that's high profit and built to last, this episode is for you. So this is Michael Green on the RAG Podcast. Michael, welcome to the RAG Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. It is in the UK now. I'm recording this just before midday. What time are we at where you are?
So I was in the office this morning at 5:15 in the morning just to record this with you.
It's now what, 5 to 6?
5 to 6 now, yeah. Pitch black outside.
Mate, dedication. That's what I love. That's what I love. Dedicated to telling your story, to helping other people. That's what we want, especially just before Christmas, you know. So it's the time of giving, Mike. Time of giving.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I've been a massive fan of the RAG Podcast for ages. So, yeah, pleasure to be here.
Well, I'm glad you listened. I'm glad, and I hope it's helped over the years. Mate, I've done an introduction, but I never do it justice, right? So if you could just give us the bird's eye view of you and the business now, who you are, what you do, location, people, that kind of stuff, no detail, and we're going to tell the story, go back afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So I'm Michael Green. I run Unico. I founded Unico in April 2024. I'm actually from Birmingham, England, moved to London for a couple of years. I then got the chance to move to Philadelphia. I lived there for 3 years. Got sick of the cold weather and then got the chance to move to Dallas. So I've now been here for 6 years. My daughter is a Texan, which I never thought I'd say. US passport. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, yeah. She also has a kind of semi-American accent as well, which is a bit odd.
How old is she?
She's pushing 3. So she's 3 in March.
All right, well, she'll have a full-on American accent too, won't she? So you won't sound like you'd expect. Is your
Hopefully
partner
not,
from the is your partner from the US?
No, she's from London as well. So yeah.
Right. Okay. So yeah, then she would sound probably more English at home, you'd imagine, and then as soon as proper school kicks in, it'll kick in with the American accent.
It's quite an odd mix because I've got a Birmingham accent. My wife speaks the Queen's English, and my daughter is this American accent. So,
mate, the amount of YouTube kids watch now back home over here, they're sounding American. They're saying things that are American. Like there's loads of kids with like American twang. There's a girl in my stepson's class, and I swear to God, you think she was from the US. She's from Sheffield.
Really? From Sheffield as well?
Purely, just pure YouTube. Just pure YouTube. That's all they watch. And all these crazy YouTubers, they just pick it up. So, yeah, we'll see. So, before we get into the story about the business, you just said it, right? So was it recruitment that took you out to the US? Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So I worked at a company called Hayes for 5 years in London in their Cheapside office, and my managing director became CEO of the Frank Group, or now called the 10th Revolution Group. I was lucky enough to be offered the opportunity to move out to Philadelphia, help open up their second office. And yeah, absolutely loved it. Never
So
looked back.
what was Philadelphia like? Was it like a British type weather system?
It's a funny story. So as a kid, I'd been to America quite a few times, to Florida, LA, New York. I've done Camp America twice. As well, it's America, it's great. And turned up to Philadelphia, never been there before. I remember driving through the city. This is nothing like Florida. So, but then we got there and absolutely loved it. Yeah, we had a brilliant 3 years. Philadelphia is a fantastic city. Great
It's
people.
Rocky Balboa, isn't it?
Rocky
Philadelphia.
Balboa, yeah, the big rocky steps. You go running up it all the time.
An actual
Um,
statue on.
yeah, there is, I think. Yeah,
It's a Rocky statue. Wow.
yeah. It's a cool place though. Yeah, for me though, just the cold weather just got too much. After 3 winters there, maybe 4 winters.
Did you get a good summer then? Is it like a proper season place where you get nice spring and summer and then a proper autumn and winter?
They get 4 full seasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the winters though, it's just absolutely Baltic. Like I remember walking to work one day, fully kitted up, big coats on, scarf, face covered. My face was frozen inside 10 minutes of actually getting to the office. I couldn't speak for about an hour. It was,
Well, I
enough
can
was
take
enough.
the cold. I like the cold. It's the rain over here. Like today, it's just torrential rain. December the 9th. It's not festive. You know, when it's sunny and cold, I'll take it all day. But now. So you decided, what took you to Dallas then? Was that another pure business opportunity, or did you pick that city on purpose?
Yeah, so for the Philly office, I helped grow the office from literally a management team of about 3 or 4 of us to 200 people at its peak. I started 2 brands for them. So I started the Nelson Frank brand and I started part of their Jefferson Frank brand from Philadelphia. After 3, 4 years there, though, I just wanted a new challenge. And the opportunity came to go to Dallas, basically head up their entire Dallas office. So it's about 100 people, permanent contract, different IT products that they did Microsoft and AWS. Yeah, it's just a great opportunity. It was warmer, better taxes in Texas. So we packed our bags pretty quickly. We'd actually just got married. So we got married in September 2019 and moved in October 2019.
Just before the pandemic.
Yeah. So, so just before the pandemic. And then we went on our honeymoon in March 2020. And I remember sitting on a beach in the Maldives and got a report coming through saying that Trump has closed the borders and you must leave immediately. And that was it. We then got stuck in our parents' spare bedrooms for 6 months whilst the UK was on shutdown.
What, in the UK?
In the UK, yeah, because you couldn't get a flight back from the Maldives back to the US. So we had to go back to London, literally the last flight to leave the Maldives. And I just turned up back in the UK thinking, right, yeah, this whole thing should be over soon. I had no laptop. I had nothing. And of course, the UK shut down, the US shut down. So all my employees were back in Dallas trying to figure this thing out. I was back in Birmingham, back in my parents' spare bedroom, like a 15-year-old kid, with no laptop, no clothes apart from summer clothes and nothing from the honeymoon.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wild.
Was it, to be fair, the weather was fucking good in the UK that summer though, wasn't it? So we had a really nice 6 months of proper sun. So you would have been all right in your Maldives outfit going into that summer. No, wow, I didn't know that. That's crazy. And you were still paying rent and all that, I imagine, or a mortgage or whatever in the US. You had costs in the US, but you're based over here. So you started your business a year later, right? April 2024 was when you pushed the button.
Yeah, so I officially launched Unico in April 2024, yeah.
Yeah. So tell us what made you want to become an entrepreneur? Like, why did you take the plunge? Because it sounds like you're running a big business, doing pretty well successfully for other people. Why change?
So if I go right back, when I first started my recruitment career, I got an internship at a proper boutique headhunting company up in Leeds. It was like an office of, I think it's like 15 of us, and it was a proper old school headhunting for London actuarial market. I just absolutely loved it. And then I went back to university, finished my year, went traveling for 6 months, went down to London, interviewed a couple of jobs and found recruitment again. Ever since my first year at Hayes, I said, one day I will do this. One day I will start my own recruitment company, do it my way, and hopefully make it a massive success. I had a fantastic 8 years at 10th Revolution Group. Again, absolutely loved it. Brilliant experience. They gave me a massive opportunity. And it just got to the point where I was 35, married, just bought a house, and I purposely waited till I had my daughter to buy the house. And right, now's the time. I've got the money, I've got the ambition, I've got the plan. It's either now or never. And so, if I don't go and do this, and I kind of look up, I will probably end up hopefully being a president of Americas, maybe at best, or maybe a CEO of a small company. So is that really what I want for the next 20, 30 years of my career? So,
And you are right. Once you have the kids, as you know now, like everything changes, right? Responsibilities change, and I think it would be much harder. I mean, you could do it, but it'd be much harder. The older you get every year, the harder it is to take that plunge, and you've got more things and people you're responsible for. So how long did that process take from making that mental decision to actually starting the business?
So I remember I bought a laptop probably like 2, 3 years before and probably turned it on once. And my wife said to me, "Are you going to use that thing or not?" So basically, get on with it. I planned the business for 12 months in the background on weekends, late at night, whatever. Probably had about 40 pages of kind of business plans and just research, like markets, what to do, how to do it.
Yeah.
And I finally then got to the point of saying, like now's the time. It felt like a brick wall in front of me, if that makes sense. It was
Yeah.
I explain it like doing a bungee jump, right? It's like you go to it, you're excited, they strap you in, you're excited, you get to the edge, and like, your whole body's saying, "Don't jump," right? So, but then you jump, and it's then the best feeling ever, right? So I kind of built up to it. I finally had enough of my previous position. Took the plunge, and ever since, probably the next day, I've just absolutely loved it. It's been fantastic.
So did you quit? Was it when did you actually leave? What date was that?
I left probably end of March, mid-March.
All right, so then, so you quit and you were straight off the bat.
Yeah.
Is it like, obviously in the US, notice periods are short, things move faster. Is it the same when you quit a recruitment job? Do you have like a big non-compete or not? Like how did that work?
Yeah, so in America, non-competes are massive typically. So you can't poach people, can't take data, can't take clients. So I was very, very conscious to be respectful of my covenants. And the Frank Group did brilliant by me, and it helped me an awful lot and gave me loads of opportunity, brought me to America. So it was important for the plan to be to respect the covenants in place. Yeah.
And Unico, where does the name come from?
Deciding a recruitment company name is probably the hardest thing to do. I had all the plans, 40 pages. I couldn't find the name, and all the kind of classics. I didn't.
You don't want
really
Michael Green Associate?
No, I'd love it, but no. So, yeah, I mean, so I spent a lot of time looking back at Unico doing it, saying like, what's going to make me different? Why would this company use me rather than use their recruitment company that they've used for the last 10 years? You have to do something different. So it came from being unique and actually taking a different approach, and whether that's my internal staff or external clients, whatever it is. And that's really where Unico was founded.
All right, I like that. But it is difficult in a market where we're essentially selling people, and so are your competition. It is really hard to find a genuine USP these days, right? And I think I say this a lot. Recruitment is unfortunately a non-desirable purchase. Like, companies don't wake up and get fucking super excited about paying a recruitment fee. They don't. It's not like a sexy purchase. It's an essential, necessary evil, isn't it? So it's trying to find that USP within a model that is tried and tested, and all of your competition are similar. They're top performers for other firms who've spun out and done it themselves. So take us back to April, early 2024. What was the idea you had that was going to make you unique?
So I basically spend a lot of time just taking a step back and looking at my competitors, looking at what I know from 8 years of working in the US market. What do companies typically do well? And then obviously what are the gaps? And typically, most IT recruitment companies in the US, they've got they're quite old school in their BD approaches, in their internal culture. Pound the phones, call the list top to bottom, send loads of spec CVs out, hope for a response. A lot of the staff actually come last. You hear stories all the time about commission plans being slashed, pay being stagnant, just the internal culture of it. So I wanted to have a new modern approach, put in the staff and then the clients, because my philosophy is that the staff are happy, really good at their jobs and productive, the clients are taken care of, and then lastly the revenue will follow. It's obviously early days in my philosophy, but so far, touch wood, is working out pretty well. I also believe that a lot of IT US companies put speed over quality. Now, of course, you need speed. You can't be spending weeks finding resumes for your clients. I completely get that. But when you put speed first, it puts pressure on the team to just send the first candidates that they find. Right? So great, I've got somebody, he'll do, bang them across. Let's hope for the best. You might even get an interview, right? But what's that client's perspective of you, your service, and the quality which you're bringing? And then lastly, when I looked at the IT markets in the US, typically there's a huge problem. There is a lot of fake candidates out there. So this can be as simple as just candidates saying that they can do things that they can't, trying to take advantage of a really hot piece of software, or then go as far as actually just completely outsourcing everything to typically people in India, where somebody in America is fronting it, they get the job or get the contract role, and they outsource it to people in India. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah.
Wow.
My previous company got stung a few times, from just completely fake people. And they're really good at it.
I'm not going to name them, but I got one of my clients told me not long ago that they placed a contractor who they found out was also, he had 4 contract jobs at the same time.
Yeah.
And this was in the UK, and in the UK he had 4 contract jobs. So he was taking a day rate of maybe, I don't know, 800 quid or whatever per job. And he had a team in the Ukraine that was actually doing all the work. So he was an ex-software developer. Well, he's a software developer, but he basically had a really good style of communication. Obviously, the roles were remote, and he had a team behind him of just like 2 guys or whatever in the Ukraine doing all the actual work, and he was just attending meetings and telling them about the code he built. So he kind of was delivering. It wasn't like he was underperforming. It's just a model he was doing. It's a bit disingenuous, right? When they think they're getting an individual. Maybe it would be outside of IR35 anyway, doing it that way. But so. All right, so you've identified the issues. What did you actually come up with you're going to do? What was the difference? What's the unique selling point for Unico in the first wave in April 2024?
Yeah, so my first wave was that we will focus on providing the top 3% of talent for our clients. So we're not putting speed first, we're putting quality first. So if you want to work with...
And that was purely ServiceNow, or was that just tech across the board when you first started?
When I first started, it was wider tech. Since that, we've now doubled down around ServiceNow. My background many years ago, 5-6 years ago, was ServiceNow. I actually loved the product, loved the ecosystem, and it just started to make sense. But then we tend to use ServiceNow as the vehicle to get into companies because that's their expertise. We know it really well. We can generally provide the top 3% of talent. We then land and expand across the client, across key different parts of tech. But it's really about focusing on the quality of the candidate, and everybody who comes out of Unico, every candidate is going to be this top 3%.
Where did you go with the word, like the 3%, and how do you measure that?
So initially it started with our own judgment, our own assessment. Like, we know what top quality really is. I then took it a step further and basically created like a manual screening, which I used with so designed it with my clients, and obviously used it with the candidates for every single job rec, where we talked about communication skills, cultural fit, consulting ability, technical questions from the clients. And I basically then used it to go through and assess it and say, right, here is the candidate we think is great, and this is why. And these candidates right off the bat were fantastic, right? But then we've gone through and layered in the Unico screening, which was quite basic. It was on a PDF document, right? But the clients loved it. And what that did...
Key selection criteria that's measured exactly against what they're looking for, yeah?
Yeah, tailored to that client. It actually started with... So one of my early clients and one of my best clients now is a New York hedge fund. I actually started with them because they they have the highest standards you can ever dream of or imagine, right? It's a bit wild, and people were getting rejected and said, "Well, but why though? Like they're absolutely fantastic." And then we basically got to the point and said, right, let's create this thing together, this document. It wasn't fancy, a little logo, Unico brand on the top. Yeah. And we created it together though. And ever since that, the placements just started rolling in with them because we were completely aligned with exactly what they want. And if this candidate couldn't answer these questions, they didn't go to the client. And straight after that, the placements started flowing in. We're now their top supplier across ServiceNow, Jira. Right. Got 8 contractors there, made 3 big perm placements, which is a bit nuts when you think about it. We've kind of been in business for 20 months and there's 5
When you first started, it was just you, right? Were you doing this from an office, from home? How did you set yourself up?
When I first started, it was just me from Dallas in my house, which is really, really weird to go from working in office of a large number of people, running large teams, being very engaging, to just suddenly me in the house. It was quiet, just me and the dog. And for the first kind of like six months, it was fine because you're just so driven just to make it work, and everything's new and the challenges. I found though after that, I struggled. Like it was difficult to stay focused, and I missed that kind of human interaction. Of course,
there is a natural enthusiasm, isn't there, in the first 6 to 12 months where you're just like, fuck it, I'm just on it, I'm doing it, I'm making this happen. And then, I think year 2 for me was when it felt like, right, this is a business now and I need to change how I operate a little bit. Year 1, was just carnage. Going back to your story there, because you were running such a big business. And the reason I'm saying this is that, like, for example, Hemish Elangaratne I interviewed last year, he's also Recruit Hub. He was, I think he was running a business 8 years of not billing because he was managing people across the real staffing group. So I imagine you weren't, I might be wrong, but you weren't necessarily a hands-on recruiter probably towards the back end of your career. You were running big teams. So how did you feel about going back to the coalface of doing the job? Did you doubt yourself? Was there any fear or concern around, could you still do it? Did you want to still do it? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, this is a bit wild. Yeah. So when I first went to America, I built the Nelson Frank brand from 0 to about 50 consultants. But obviously I was in the reads, recruiting. I was one of the top billers and managing a high performing team. But a lot of it came obviously from me breaking to clients and building a candidate database, everything you'd do in a normal startup. Since that, I hadn't actually recruited in about 6 years. I hadn't made a cold call to a brand new cold call. I haven't broken into a cold call. Of course, I've been on client calls, my consultants, and helped them and everything. I think that is not the same at all. I've never actually qualified a candidate in 6 years. So I got down there day 1, turned my laptop on for Unico. Right, here we go. And it dawned on me, I don't actually know how to qualify candidates. It's like I haven't actually done it in 6 years, probably longer than that, because my team would often fill my jobs. I'm a big client guy rather than candidates.
Does that mean as well, non-compete wise, you were dealing with what everyone was doing? Because if you're not running a desk, how do they identify who you can and cannot speak to? Is it covering the whole office, or did it?
Well, no, you have to get a lot of advice around obviously non-compete, and they're all different, right? But it's typically it's what you've done the last 12 months, which for me was Microsoft and AWS. So I went nowhere near them, didn't even come close to overlapping. I hadn't done ServiceNow in 5-6 years, so there is really good conflict, yeah. But yeah, it was wild. Yeah, I had to go back and do role plays to myself, like, and get a script and everything else. But of course, it comes back really quick, right? But it was, you kind of enter it thinking, right, I've got 12, 13 years of recruitment experience. I've been a top biller in the past, ran high performing teams. I can do this. And actually doing it is a different story.
Yeah. And were you listening to this show and others like Hishem and stuff when you were going through that period?
Yeah. So your podcast, the Shem's podcast, has been a huge source of knowledge for me. Just like we're going through, picking up ideas from people, and I learn best from speaking and listening to others and taking their ideas and basically adapting it. I'm definitely not one of these people who just sits there and having kind of light bulb moments and just create something from scratch.
Well, the reason I started this show is because of that. Like, I think that it was the show I wish I'd had in 2016. Because I think again, I wouldn't change anything in my story, right? I love my life. I love my business. I love my clients. I love the lot. But I was a fucking good recruiter who probably questioned myself for about a year as to whether or not I was capable of doing it alone and whether or not it was the company's brand and all that, there was no one around me that was able to, I could just go, well, you're doing it and you're doing it. And I was just surrounded by the people in my office and my boss, because I moved from Australia to that company and then I didn't leave. So I didn't actually have much of a recruitment network in the UK other than the people I work with. And we were a business where not many good people actually left. So there wasn't like they'd all span out and gone to different companies. So when like outside of the four walls, I didn't really have much inspiration. And now I'm like, it's so different, the landscape now. Like I hope people listening to this in your story will be inspired. And, whether they're running a company now or they're going to launch one, know that actually, if you can do it, I can do it. Like, that's the mentality I want people to have. So 6 months of that, you're out there, you're role playing, you're going back to the basics that are maybe 6-7 years old. Did you enjoy it? Did you, once you started taking action and getting on the phone and meeting people and stuff, did you enjoy that initial recruitment process?
Yeah, so I spent a lot of time on my go-to-market strategy, because time back to what makes us different. When I'm on the phone pitching Unico, what makes me sound different other than just I got 15 years experience, blah blah blah, right? Like it's you've got to have a USP and actually a value prop to your clients. When I was actually in it then, I really enjoyed it because I quickly got traction. I knew where to hunt. I knew what clients to go after, which ones not to go after, because I had the blueprint, I had the plan in front of me. I felt pressure for the first 90 days. I think everybody does, right? For me, the first 90 days is make or break. It's like I've got one pot of money. This is my dream. I want to go and do this. I want to build a fantastic life for my family. And I have to make it a success. And I think if I exited 90 days having not made a placement or maybe made one placement, I would be stressed. I exited 90 days on 100 grand worth of perm deals. They all started, stayed, got paid. That really was just my catalyst moving forward. That filled me with confidence.
And to do that in the US is probably, I think it'd be very hard to do that in the UK with notice periods. In terms of to have it all started, you might have whiteboarded it in, and had some contracts signed. But I love that about the US. You can actually turn shit around so quick, even on a perm basis. So 100Ks worth of fees. So did you sit down in that couple of weeks before you launched Unico and you had that 3% matrix idea? You then worked it out with the client base, and then you took that as your selling point, right, to clients. Look.
Yeah, I knew exactly who I was going after. I had my USP locked in. I had very clear targets. So I'm a big visual person. I had a huge whiteboard in my house. My wife absolutely hated it. Like, it's massive, this thing. And I sat there with all the targets in front of me, and the first 90 days. I now actually manage the business on 90-day sprints. So of course, for 2026, I'm going to have targets for the year, clear direction. But I do a 90-day sprint on OKRs. And I've got a very clear direction. Like this 90 days, we are achieving this, and that could be operational, it could be financial, hiring people, whatever it is. Because at least then I know in that 90 days, I've got something clear to go after, and that moves the dial.
Yeah. So you come out there with 100K. People, I suppose, were liking this proposition then.
Yeah. It was the general feedback I've had even today is that it's so refreshing to have a IT staffing company who's true experts in what they do, but we're treated well, with respect, but also the candidates are just a different level. Like they're absolute top quality. Every single time which our clients ask us for something, no matter how niche it is, we get it. We find a solution if needed, but the candidates are just fantastic. And every time you do it, the process moves significantly quicker. You get way more credibility with your clients. Obviously, off that candidate, you get multiple other good referrals. The whole thing is obviously linked, right? So, but it's about having the discipline to actually stick to that standards and that level. It's very easy if your client's breathing down your neck saying, "Where's my profiles?" to slip and just say, "Right, I'll just send these people because they're B players or C players. No, we need A players, or top 3% in this case." The one thing.
So were you leading with that? Were you leading with that then, rather than just specking candidates in? Were you leading with I want to talk to you about your business, and this is how I'm going to impact your business? Like, what was the outreach strategy in the first instance? I know we started working together, and we can talk about that. But what was the first way?
Yeah, so our outreach strategy, I've been very basically what I've done for our BD is lay a contract BD mentality into perm. So we've now got to say that we've got a contract book of 11 contractors out. It's about 70 grand GP a month, which is quite strange for me because I'm a perm person through and through. But then we're basically going into, so we get leads from candidates, like genuine leads. So not just, we get obviously interview leads, project leads, what's going on there. Where is the pain point in the client? We map that out and figure out, right, where is the pockets of opportunity, and then go and just sell to that. So and then when we're selling, it's that we know the market has a problem with these fake candidates and bad candidates. Have you been stung by it? And 99% of the time they say yes. They're great, but we're here to solve that. Right? We bring you the top 3%, and it's not just recruitment waffle or a sales line. We actually do it this certain way. And it's actually evolved now where we've designed a tool with AI where we can drop their job spec in, or we do it with the client, or even the voice, the Firefly's AI recording from the call. Yeah. Drop it in the tool, and it gives us, like, say, this amazing screening questions. We then tweak it with the client. We put exactly in what they want. We do it with every candidate which goes through, and it gives these like amazing score sheets back to the client of like, this person's a 97% fit based on your questions and your job spec. This is their strengths. This is their downfall. This is why you should hire them, basically. So now we can quantify the top 3% because everyone who goes through our screening, we know we've got 1,000 candidates. Well, it's, these.
And AI will help you create an objective score. I imagine it's more black and it can be a lot more black and white. And what have you done that? Have you built that in like as a custom GPT, or have you gone off and done it with certain software?
So my friend and previous colleague has actually started and created it. So then we got in early doors and helped him to design it, what it looks like. We gave loads of feedback on how it could be tweaked. We've now rolled it out to Team Unico. We've done about 10 tests, and in 2026 going completely live. But we've worked on it with about 10 jobs right now, 9 jobs maybe. And the feedback from the clients is just fantastic. I mean, like it's a true differentiator. And this we're going back about quality and about being unique. I don't know a single other recruitment company who's going to that extent to give their clients the top 3% of candidates.
I love it. I think there's something that there's USP, which I think what you're talking about is actually more of what I'd call a unique mechanism. So the USP is like a genuine difference, like in the outcome, complete outcome, product difference. What you're doing is more of a unique mechanism, which is saying how we get to the outcome is different. And that's the bit I think in recruitment we can learn. A lot of people can think about. Finding a complete USP is hard. Like a USB, I think, is something completely different. A unique mechanism, a USM, is where it's like how we do our job is different. And I love what you've done there. It's super smart. So how soon in the journey did you join the LinkedIn bootcamp with me? I can't remember exact date. And I think it was in the first 6 months, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So when I started, I know what my strengths and weaknesses are. I was terrible with anything social media, posting, branding out there. And I quickly realized, going back to when I hadn't done recruitment in 6 years, that the old BD methods just simply don't work, right? Like all this, like send spec CVs on email. No, everyone hates email these days. Why would you do it? The spam filters catching it. One of my clients gets 400 emails a day. Do you really think that my little email saying about this ServiceNow architect is going to grab his attention? Like it's absolutely impossible. So I knew that to change. And then somebody recommended Hoxo to me. It might have been in the Recruiter network. And so
it would have been because we like the Kyle and Stuart and Hamish. There's loads. We've worked with loads of them.
Yeah. Well, your course was my first big investment. And back then, it seemed like a lot of money. Like it's not obviously today, but it seemed like it back then. I'm so glad I did it though. I mean, it's absolutely transformed our BD approach. Like where we're now, like, yes, we're really driven on getting proper quality leads, and then we've got a clear process to get creative around those leads and convert them.
Yeah.
The second part is all about basically Hoxo. It's about we're posting at least 3 times a week, 20-10-5, going for the LinkedIn strategy is absolutely pivotal to us. I said it on the Shems podcast. My conversion rate like 70% on these voice notes. Like it's wild. It might be It might be the British accent, right? But still, it works.
Well, look, I think this is how I look at it, right? And I love the fact that people like you are doing it. I'm interrupting today's episode to talk about our sponsor, Atlas Recruitment CRM. Admin is a massive waste of time for recruiters. And that's why Atlas, the world's first AI-first recruitment platform, is built for modern agencies who don't want to do it. It doesn't only track CVs and calls. It remembers everything. Every email, every interview, every conversation. Instantly searchable, always available, and now it's entering a whole new era. With Atlas 2.0, you can ask anything and it'll deliver. With magic search functionality, you speak to it and it listens. It finds the right candidates using real conversations, not simply look up for keywords. For me, this would be massive because I spend most of my time talking to my CRMs, talking to my emails. I'm just better with voice. Probably why I got into recruitment in the first place. Now, Atlas 2.0 also makes BD easier than ever because they've got an opportunity section where you can track, manage, and grow client relationships powered by generative AI and built right into your workflow. If you need insights and reports, they've got custom dashboards that give you total visibility over your pipeline. And that's not theory. Atlas customers have reported up to 41% EBITDA growth and an 85% increase in monthly billings after adopting the platform. So there's no admin, there's no silos, there's no lost info, nothing but faster shortlists, better hires, and more time to focus on what actually drives revenue. Atlas is your personal AI partner for modern recruiting. Now, don't miss the future of recruitment. Get started with Atlas today and unlock your exclusive RAG listener offer at www.recruitwithatlas.com/the RAG. All right, let's get back to the show. We could both sit here all day and bang the phone to people and open doors, and it'd still work. I'm not saying it doesn't work to cold call, and you've got enough credibility to do it. But if you can spend 15, 20 minutes a day to get more people in your ecosystem to see you, to know who you are, and reveal themselves so you can see who they are on LinkedIn because they're interacting in different places. And then you've got a really simple, repeatable rhythm to go and open up a conversation that 70% of the time they say, yeah, I'll have a chat, especially when you've got a unique mechanism like you have. Like I still don't get why people find this really like revolutionary. It's actually really straightforward. It's why the radio exists, for fuck's sake. Like, the radio does not know that but they don't know you're listening. They don't go, Talk Sport doesn't go, well, John Andrews, the plasterer's listening right now, so we're going to get him into the business. Like, the adverts on the radio are designed because they know the demographics of people that will be tuning in on a macro level. And if you've connected to 10, 15, 20,000 people in ServiceNow or whatever, on a macro level, you know they're the right people you're going to be hitting with your message. You just need to draw them out of that big number and into a place where you can see the name John Andrews, where he is, and you can follow up. And the thing I love about you is you just did it. You didn't like reinvent it. You didn't like sit there. Like some people go, well, you just literally were like, I'm making a big investment for myself. I'm going to fucking make the most of this. What impact did it honestly have in that first year? I know it's had an impact in the second year, but in the first year, what impact did it have on your business?
Oh, it was massive. I love that tracking sheet which you guys use, and then obviously the kind of weekly follow-ups with your account manager. And every single time with the account manager, I was there going through just tweaking the post and tweaking the voice notes, getting it absolutely perfect, but following the process to an absolute T. And I saw for that tracker, like every single week, the numbers increased and improved and improved and improved. I couldn't tell you exact ROI, to the dollar, but I knew that was having a major impact. And then I started speaking to clients. And was like, Michael, I saw your post about such and such, and I saw this post, and how's it going? And I remember my first post was on a Friday afternoon. I think it was like week 4 or 5 or something, and I had my laptop with like my Unico background on, a beer on the side, like amazing week. And I was absolutely shitting myself to actually press send to post it, because Brits don't normally big themselves up or anything else like that, right? Because that's the culture over there. In America, they absolutely love it. And I remember my phone was like blowing up, like likes, comments, like it's absolutely fantastic. And that really gave me the belief to obviously go and do it. And like even now, I post religiously at least 3 times a week following the same structure. And I get so many inbound leads now. Just a small example of it is there's a major partner, which is pretty big. Probably got about 2,000 employees or something. Never worked with them before, never spoke to them before. But I did say, I would absolutely love to work with those guys. The partner, who's the top dog, messaged me saying, Michael, we're growing. I've seen your post. I've heard your reputation. We want to use you exclusively. I didn't make a single BD call. I've never spoken to
what value was that client being financially?
So we spoke 2 weeks ago. They've signed terms inside a week, and then we've got a pipeline of about 20 jobs coming January to go and fill with them. Like, it's just got PE funding. They're growing massively. They know that they can't fill it themselves. But it's all come from this like brand which I've built up solely through LinkedIn. And I showed my team. I've never spoke to these people. Never even sent a voice note. Yeah, it's mega. Yeah,
amazing. So you made a big investment. You took it seriously. You then get to a point where you're making money. You move into an office, I believe, and then so. There's kind of two-part question here. What was the model what was the business you thought you were going to build in day one? And then how has that actually changed? Because I think we all have a vision of what we're trying to create, and it might actually just be back of a fag packet. I just want to make 100K in year one and survive. What were you thinking in April 2024? And then let's go on a journey as to how you've actually done it or not, and how that's evolved.
Yeah, so I've got a very clear vision of what I want this to be, and obviously where I want to go to. Actually, a conversation which you and I had many months ago kind of stuck with me, that it's not about growing for headcount anymore. It's about having profitable headcount. I was like, yeah, you're absolutely spot on, and especially now with AI and everything else coming through to recruitment. So the direction I've gone in hasn't actually changed much, but what has changed is some of the detail. So, for example, I pivoted to doing big fees, large salaries on the perm side, and having a minimum threshold of actually seniority, which we go and recruit for.
What's that level?
It's now architects and above. So unless a repeat client asks us to help them out with a developer or whatever, we go and target jobs which are architect up to C-suite, because obviously the salaries are big.
And what's the difference in fees for you on that?
So my previous role before starting Unico, average fees were like 25, 30 grand. And I honestly believe that's it. Yeah, that is US recruitment. Yes, some might be 50 grand and 60 grand, but normally it's about 30 grand. And I remember sitting at a recruiter meetup in Austin, and just like people in front of me were doing like average 100 grand fees, average. I was like, how are you doing that? And we just pivoted the business. So this is no more 30 grand fees for Unico. We're going after the big fish. So I literally overnight just turned to, we're going to do New York, because that is where the highest salaries are. We're going to do very niche, bleeding edge positions because they can't fill it themselves. They need us. It's actually way more interesting. And we're going to do minimum architect, because then all those people we're speaking to are probably hiring managers as well. Our candidate calls become BD calls. Everything becomes easier. Best thing I ever did. It just straight away.
So in terms of, I did an episode with Mark Thomas a couple of weeks ago from Invector, and he did the same thing. So they said in the first 4 months, because they went out with this like leadership search model where they were only doing a certain salary cap, like 150 to 350 in the UK. And so, but he said in the first 4 months, they got offered loads of work, but sub 150, like 60, 70, 80 grand salaries. And they turned it all away. And they actually nearly backtracked and pivoted because they were like, we're 4 months in and we're just not making the money we thought. And then they landed 4 retainers in that week, and then their business is blown 1.5 million in year one. That's a question that in my head, I think people are going to be listening to what you just said going, how do you turn away work though? I genuinely, when you're so young, how do you say no to work that's maybe not the developer work with confidence when you've maybe not got the new work yet? How do you put a line in the sand and say, I'm going to change?
So it's a bit different case by case. If you had no money in the bank, no clients, no cash flow, you're probably not going to do it, right? I was at this point, I'd probably done, I don't know, 200 grand maybe. And luckily all my clients paid, they all paid on time. So I could afford a bit of breathing room just to like stop.
You had no staff at this point?
No, just me. Yeah. But though the strategy was just very clear. All I had to do was then go and commit to it. Basically, that was it. So I actually enjoy speaking to senior people more. It was way more attractive to me anyway. So then I just dived in head first. And to be honest with you, though, it isn't much different. Like it's just another ring or two up the ladder. If anything, it's actually easier, I argue, because there's less candidates to go and have to source for. You can literally map the market. all my candidate calls are BD calls. So my job flow went up by at least 50% because I was BDing the whole time pretty much. And the fees obviously huge. So my average fee value went from 30 grand to about 60 grand.
And how quick did you see the returns on the change?
The difference was that those jobs take longer to fill. Right, so my biggest ever fee was 170 grand. I placed somebody in New York on 675 grand salary, but that process took me like 3 months. I mean, he had about 18 interviews, so it was high
Months still
stress.
ain't that long though. It's not
It
exec
is.
search time. That
It
gets
is to
10,
me.
12 months. Yeah.
No, you're right though. Yeah, proper exec search could take 12 months. Yeah, that it was high stress. It was risky, right? Because that's 170 grand of revenue, which is sat with one person. It all worked out in the end. But I think since that, obviously, we've been focused around contract quite heavily and winning or trying to staff projects where companies are right at the start of an implementation and getting like 3, 4, 5 contractors in there. But if I'm going after like financial services, especially in New York, the margins on it is absolutely huge. So rather than having to go through all the admin of having to get, 10, 20 contractors, I can just place 5. And the whole thing goes
But
way
what happens
smoother.
if you go in at the top and you place like the senior person, the program director, whatever, as well as the architects? Do they not want you then to fill the whole project team?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's so.
Yeah.
So
Will you turn that away if it's too small or not?
No. So when we're actively BDing, we don't go and target the junior positions. So we're going right to the top of companies like C-suites, CTOs, whatever, VPs. If my good repeat clients say, Michael, I've got this developer job, I need your help, we're going to help them, right? Because we've got full control. We often do retainers or micro deposits with them. So we know the job's committed. I've got the network. We've got a database full of developers and BAs and PMs. We're just not actively hunting the jobs down. So I'd probably say like 70% of our open vacancies are like senior positions and 30% are just simply repeat business, which our clients have asked us for.
Yeah.
But yeah, like and obviously once we place that senior person, we just then go and fill the team out underneath. So my hedge fund client, I had one great point of contact there for the Jura team, built out that. So now I placed 6, 7 people with him. And then the service now dude I placed, he's now building out his entire team. We've got 4 contractors there about to place a perm person with him. Like it's just logical. Like it all makes sense.
I love it. So go back a step. The question I asked a minute ago around the model at the beginning and how you had an idea and it evolved. So did you have a headcount? Because we talked about profitability rather than just headcount. Did you go April 2024 with like a goal of what the company would look like from a head perspective? And how has that evolved?
Yeah, I think that when I first started Unico, I obviously what you know, right? And I is back when I was growing up, it was all about headcount growth. But I quickly pivoted to now my goal is simple. I want 100 highly profitable people in the US. I want multi-location, 70% contract, and my goal is to get a $5 million EBITDA eventually. Right. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want the challenge. Yes, the money's going to be great, hopefully, and everything else, right? But I want to look back one day on my sunbed on the beach, retired, and say, I built something fucking cool. Right? I built something which I can look back and be proud of. I can tell my kids about. Hopefully the wife's proud of me as well. But yeah.
So 100 was the goal and it still is?
I probably had it a bit higher previously. I think that
Really?
probably
Okay.
say like 200 or something. I can't remember. Right, 250. Let's say
100 is still punchy. I mean, I don't hear that many people looking for that these days. They're not. They're just like, I just don't know if that's the case. But are you thinking about that in like micro offices around the country? Is that how you would do it?
Yeah, so I have to put the plan together properly, right? It's obviously shifted a bit. So before I was saying, right, everyone's going to be 360 because again, that's what I've known. And I actually had a strategy meeting with Edmund Blogg from Recruiter and talked about you don't actually have to do it that way. Like, what about if you had like an exec search team and just hired the talent? What about if you had proper BD people and you had, some 360 people and the whole thing's connected, proper contract experts? So rather than forcing everyone to kind of fit this mold of 360, play to people's strengths. So my job now at Christmas is to go back and plan for that moving forward. But I completely agree with it. People have different strengths. If you're great at BD, why am I going to try and force you to also look at the candidate side?
I think it's being great and actually enjoying what you do is two things that you want to find. I think everyone in life wants to find a job they enjoy that they're good at, right? That's like the two things around, and probably, third thing is location and people around you, right? So if you think, I want a team full of people that are excelling at what they do and they're really good and they enjoy it, I don't think it's very realistic to find 100 360s that are all fucking great at both candidate attraction and BD. I don't think I think you'll find you could get a pocket of them. You could maybe get to 10 of them, but to get to 100, you are going to have a model that's a bit more diverse, I think. Now, go back a step. Year one, I think you did, was it $700,000 or $750 you did in year one?
Yeah, first 12 months of trading, we did 700 grand of gross profit, and 2025.
And how many headcounts? How many people did you hire people in that year? Or was it just you?
Me? Yeah, just me. Yeah.
Right, so 700 grand on your own. It's pretty cool. Did you celebrate that? Like, was there a conversation with the wife and Edmund and think, "Fucking hell, look what we've just done"? We've not done a deal in now over 6 years before.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm a massive believer of just working extremely hard and then celebrating success. So I actually had like milestones on my whiteboard of like when you get to your first contract. So when you get to 50 grand, 200 grand, so there's all like cocktails or dinner or like a boys' weekend or something. And the whole time I was just there, just right. I have to go and hit this target. I remember, so my dad's owned 2 businesses previously. He gave a lot of advice and support around this. I remember saying to him in Dallas, if I do 300 grand of gross profit in year one, I've kind of just done my job, right? That's like standard. 500 grand would be fantastic. I remember then calling him up saying I did 700 grand. It just felt absolutely incredible, right? So yeah, we finished the first 12 months, massive celebration.
So 500 was like the stretch target. 300 was the bank target, and then you blew it out the back. So this year you've doubled it, right? So what are you likely to finish 2025 on?
Yeah, so financial year 2025, we should finish on 1.5 million gross profit. I've got about 5-6 deals I'm just like trying to close now.
Get them over the line.
Yeah. We should get to 1.5. But what I'm really proud of is obviously that now I've got 4 people who work with me, and all 4 of them are progressing fantastically. They're picking up really quickly. They've all made placements. So it's not just me driving the engine.
So what of them 4? How have you set the 4 up at this point to go from 700 on your own to 1.5? Let's talk about that. Like, what's been the operating model that has worked this year? What have you got those people to do?
Well, that's the biggest challenge of it. It's that yes, now you can recruit. You've proven your model. Then it's about like, how do I actually attract the best talent and find this like mold? Because I must have interviewed like 20 people to find my first person. And that wasn't me being rejected. That was me turning them down normally. There's just so many recruiters who talk a good game and you kind of peel it back and they can't do anything. So I spent loads of time on that, like nailing down my ideal employee, what's important, the screening process. Once I got that locked down, obviously then they started. So the one guy's, is it 6-7 months in? The rest of just about 12 weeks, 8 weeks.
Right.
But then
let's go back to the first hire then. What was the job that you wanted him to do? Because you've got a 700 plus, probably done over $1 million at that point if it's 6 months ago. So what's the next logical role you wanted someone to do? Because I think there's a lot of people listening who are going to be in that position now, either first year on their own, thinking about their first hire, successfully billing, not always knowing if they can replicate that in somebody else. So what did you do?
So I know where I'm going. I know the end goal. So I'm trying to hire people today who build the foundation of Unico, and they're going to help me not just drive revenue, but also help build a fantastic business. One day when the time is right, I'd love to give those people some equity. Everyone gets wealthy together. They're obviously tied back into the company, everything else. So I'm not just hiring for, are you a great bidder? I'm hiring for, are you here for long term? Can we build around you, basically? But that first person, though, he's called Emma. He's absolutely fantastic. He came in and it was basically just right. Like, we need clients, revenue, first of all. We also need to actually put the business together. So like, what is the actual onboarding plan? the training looks like, the marketing, the position. It's about bouncing ideas off each other as well, and obviously trying to get this off the
But
ground and get it
were
moving.
you saying, look, I want you to fill jobs for me in ServiceNow, or were you saying I want you to
No,
replicate what I've done in a different market? What was the goal?
sorry, yeah. So everyone is now focused on ServiceNow and then wider niche SaaS products as and when needed, but really ServiceNow is our vehicle. So he came in, I taught him ServiceNow, we set the market up, and he was is today running a 360 desk, yeah.
How did you split it up rather than what you do and what he does? Did you give him like an industry focus, a locational
No,
focus? Like, was there something different than what you were doing?
no, we know the product, ServiceNow, the market. We know what the ICP is. We know we're going after senior positions. We're mainly focused on New York because those salaries are obviously higher. He lives in New
Yeah,
York. That's obviously why I hired him as well.
yeah.
And it was just right, just go out and just drive high quality leads, and then we're going to convert the leads. Then we're going to get the clients on. But there's no point
So
in me
was you
having.
initially he was booking meetings for you and him to go on. Basically, that was his first protocol.
Yeah, but yeah, he was building up his desk from day one. Right from day one, right, got target clients, and he had the leads. Go and get your clients. And we're basically capturing clients per consultant, and then we're looking to double down on the clients. So, how do we build longevity? Loads of US IT companies, US IT recruitment companies, sorry, they do spot business. Like if you go properly look at a business, it's all spot business. They go and get a client, I make a deal, move on to the next one. I'm looking at you, how do we get proper longevity within the client, build a proper partnership where we are truly embedded in their company. If they're going out for niche IT talent, eventually they're coming to us. For now, it's ServiceNow, but longer term, we are their staffing partner. And I think at the start of the call, you mentioned about that most companies don't like to spend money on recruitment. I'm actually trying to take a different philosophy with it or different view on it, that we're going after the needs where they genuinely need us. They actually want to work with us because this job is critical to them. They can't fill it themselves, and we give them such a good service that they're happy to pay the fee. So yes, that is money well spent because we've consulted them, we've advised them, we've added someone to their business who's an absolute game changer.
How do you find? How do you find that? Other than looking where roles have been open for a period of time, is that the strategy? Like, how do you know?
No.
How do you go out and find and pinpoint a client where you're like, we think they're going to have this problem?
So we never add job board leads ever. Complete waste of time. Everyone knows about them. They've got applicants to it. You're too late to the game. We're trying to catch it ahead of the curve. So we're mapping out across financial services, partners, where are the projects? Like what is going on? When is this bank going to implement this part of service? Now we literally map it. As I wrote this, we know that this project starting in April. Probably got to start staffing it in February. And we're just absolutely on top of it. So we're looking for the pain points within the people we're speaking to and the projects. And we're just selling to that the whole time. So we're actually
Thing is that
solving.
people. Sorry to interrupt you, but people who've not worked as niche as this, because I worked like you're doing now. Mine was not one technology, it was one industry in London, and it was just transformation and change of tech products into the Lloyd's of London insurance market. So there was like 4 or 5 underwriting and broking systems that everyone implemented. And it was exactly what I always knew that was something coming. And I'd actually, I'd try and put program managers together when one had already done it and they were going to do it. And I'd buy them both dinner and sit in the fucking room and just listen to their conversations. And but if I was completely wide working on tech into any market or any product, I think it'd be hard. Whereas you've gone, because you know your tech, you're going to, you use that as your flagship and then you can expand across it from off the back of it. Like every conversation you had you're learning from it, I imagine, right? Everyone with every candidate, there's something, oh shit, so that's going to happen and that could happen. And I just don't get, like, the more generalist recruiters out there don't get it. They think about what they're going to lose by going all in on one area.
Yeah.
But I look at it like what you're going to gain, like by just knowing something truly inside out, like you become so much more valuable to your customers than saying, I can fill that job for you. Because it's like, anyone can do that.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we have gone like super, super, super niche. So obviously, there's one SaaS product, senior positions or large projects. Then it's like the really, really niche parts of the platform. We're really,
and then you're looking at New
that.
York, pretty much on.
Yeah, and then New York, right? But it's But then you've got to think about the client side. Is that if that skill set is so business critical to them and no one else can fill it, then you come in and fill it. They are your client for life, right? They absolutely love you. Versus our competitors who just go and do the easy stuff, pick up the low jobs. They might do the basic parts of the platform because it's easy. The boss is under pressure to perform them. So right, where's your job? So go and fill the job as fast as you can. Naturally, then the consultant goes and picks up the low hanging fruit, right? And they're competing with other recruiters, TA teams, everything. It's an absolute nightmare. If you go senior niche, yes, it's more difficult, but it pays off long term.
So that first hire you made, booking meetings in New York, were they face to face when you'd have to fly in with them, or was it all virtual? How did you run it?
Yeah, so we have met people face to face. We're trying to double down around New York. The US IT market's a bit weird. A lot of them don't want to meet face to face. They're happy just doing it over Teams. Great, yeah, Michael, thanks a lot for the service. Really appreciate it. Let's move on. But then we are trying to meet them in person as much as possible. We go to a lot of the meetups and the conferences, and so I've been to 4 conferences this year. Like, one was in New York. So yeah, we're just really navigating it. But they were really, obviously, New York is the center of financial services. So we're doubling down on private equity companies, hedge funds, asset managers, because they're all also going. All of them are going for a massive re-platform as well. So they've had the system for, say, 10 years. It's really old now. It's had a day. AI cannot work with it. So now they're going through completely scrapping it and redoing it, and then putting the new sexy stuff on top. Like it's a huge opportunity.
Love it. So let's talk about the last 6 months then. So you bring this guy in, it's working. Then what? You've brought in 2 more. Was it 3 more? So you're 4 plus more, you now. Yeah. So what's the model now? What's the operating model? Is it, surely ServiceNow is going to have in New York at that level is going to have a tipping point where you're going to need to expand into different things or change the focus, I imagine.
Not for now, no. So we've got 5 people, including me. I'm just about to move into a larger office here in Dallas with 3 empty seats, which we're going to fill in Q1. I won't hire people, though, until the current people are up and running, profitable. I don't believe in just piling headcount in and hoping for the best. So I've got, obviously, one guy in New York, one guy actually in Canada who is recruiting the US from Canada. And I'm basically going to be hiring people in Dallas as a HQ, but then really good people remotely, and then try and spin up offices around those people if they choose to do management. In terms of the market and the product, for now, we're focused on ServiceNow, to then go and use that as almost a torpedo into the companies to land and expand. The longer term for the company, I want to have like an employee collaboration tools division, which is like all the SaaS products like Salesforce, ServiceNow, anything that they use internally, basically. Another division around cybersecurity, and third one around AI. Obviously, that's subject to change, could change any moment. But I think if I'm looking in the future around my 100 heads and locations, if I can really get into those niche pockets around IT and basically replicate what I've done so far, we should be winning, hopefully.
You might not have gone to this point yet, but let's say the guy in New York does well.
Yeah.
You're in Dallas with a team growing, recruiting into New York, and then you say, right, I want you to build a New York office. How do you then split what each office does? Wouldn't it make sense to have a Dallas team looking at Texas and a New York team looking at New York? Is there an element that once you start building these different teams, you have to then change what the HQ does?
It would make sense to have some rules in place. Obviously, we're a million miles away from that right now, right? And I've obviously ran territories in the past for my previous teams. That the problem with territories is that it then restricts people, and it also causes internal conflict as well. So 80%, 90% maybe of our jobs are fully remote. So yes, the clients may be headquartered in New York, but does it really make a difference? Now, if the jobs are on site in New York, like, yeah, absolutely, it makes sense. Yeah, the local go and meet them face to face, everything else. But I think at 100 people, like the US is so big, and the IT market's obviously absolutely enormous. Do you really need territories, or should it just be go out and hunt down the best opportunities and win the client? When you win the client, that's your client, right? And it's then your job to go and make them a long-term client. I don't know. Yeah. Up in the air at the moment.
I think more territory from a client win. So if you're thinking again, we're just completely spitballing now. This is probably whether people want to hear this or not. But I'm thinking you've got to give people direction as to what they're doing from a BD perspective. And if everyone's just targeting New York, then it's just going to be like overlap. Whereas if it might just be technologies within New York that everyone focuses on different. And I don't know, but I'm just thinking like you've got to give people something that separates their outbound or their focused strategic activity.
Yeah, I have to think about it properly. I mean, at the moment we're going from 5.
I want you to commit to it now, Michael. I want you to commit to it today.
Yeah, it needs some thought around it, but I mean, at that point, I'm probably going to have, let's call it 30, at least 30 people, right? If not more, quite a way off that. I mean, my goal 2026 is to finish with 15 profitable people. So,
right. So you're going to triple next year. That's the goal.
That's the goal. Yeah. Yeah. I want to get to 15 happy, profitable heads and at least 3 million of net fee income. And really, the kind of rationale behind tripling the headcount but doubling the GP is just simply that those people will join back end of the year, so they're not going to have the impact.
Exactly. It's a really like you're not just growing for growing's sake, right? You're growing with a sustainable approach, for sure. What do you think the AI evolution is going to do to your own business? What's your kind of approach around the impact that might have on how you guys operate?
Yeah, I find it amazing on like LinkedIn and obviously listen to podcasts how recruiters are so scared about AI. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. I find it absolutely fascinating. I think it's going to propel the industry forward. I think that you have to adapt and you have to change your approach. For example, we don't go after developer jobs because I genuinely believe that AI one day will do that job. But I think the jobs which we do, like leadership, sales, architecture positions, AI can't do that. Like, you have to be a person and typically go on site to client sites and everything else, right? So I don't think it's, as long as you've got the right plan and you're good enough at your job, I don't think that we've got a problem about the recruiters will be replaced. But I think that the companies who don't adapt and don't start using AI throughout their business are going to get left behind real quick. So I'm holding this week a full Dallas on-site with all my guys. We're here, we've got sessions planned. We've got 2 hours blocked out to go and do an AI and automation session to look at every single process in our recruitment business, what we do, what can we automate, and basically leave with 3, which we're going to absolutely commit to and get implemented in the business. Because my biggest fear is that if I don't do this and I look back in 12 months, I'm suddenly miles behind my competitors. And one day you'll turn around and look at it and say, shit, I am well behind the curve. Yeah, maybe we're doing 2 million in revenue, but my competitor's doing 5. He's doing 5 because he's way more efficient and effective.
Yeah. This is exactly why me and Jordan from Atlas are launching the AI Bootcamp, which is the training program we're working on. We've for 2 years now, I've been speaking to Jordan about AI and he's been mentoring me, and the tools that are on the market, all over the market from an AI perspective. There's some amazing stuff, but I take it back to Jordan and every time he goes, you can do that with ChatGPT. And he flips his screen and we've been working through it. And so now we're launching this program where we sold out our January cohort in 6 days. 20 recruitment founders bought it. I was like, wow, now it's March next year, people are buying. But it's about how do you, like you just said, how do you take a few use cases, not everything in your business, but we're looking at like 4 things around BD and candidate attraction. And how do you use one platform, which you've already got, which is ChatGPT, and implement it to the point where it's actually productive. It's giving you a productive edge. It's making you more money. It's standing you out from the competition, because you're not going to change every part of your business overnight, and more technology and more the reason you've really done well, I think, is because your business is quite simple. You got a simple approach, simple model, simple market that you focus on. You know exactly what all those things are and you keep repeating it. So you'll succeed if you can add AI to enhance a simple process rather than just try and make it really complicated, which is what I think a lot of people are doing. They're tinkering with all these different things and it's painful, mate. And yeah, you don't want to be the guy in 12 months' time who says, well, I ignored it. And then you're like, shit, everyone else is way ahead of me in the way that they're working. And I think that, I think in 2 years' time, we're going to look back at things we do now and be like, were we really doing that? A bit like when I look back now and when we were in recruitment training, we used to watch like DVDs of like Mike Walmsley in an office. I'm like, is that how we really trained each other? Like, and I like Mike Walmsley, it's nothing about him, but the DVD and the plug, like, I genuinely think 2 years we're going to look back and what we're doing now will be like DVDs. I think it'll be that different. And he who wants to learn and adapt will succeed. As long as you're a good recruiter in the first place. AI ain't going to make you a good recruiter. No.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, you've got to already be good. Same as your brand, right? On LinkedIn, the stuff I taught you. If you were a shit recruiter, you wouldn't be doing 700K in year one and your brand wouldn't be opening doors. You might sound good online, but you'd be found out when you get older people. So
yeah,
it's about, if you're very good at what you do operationally, the right tools, the right brand, I think are going to change the game in the next few years.
I do agree. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's simple. It's how can we get more efficient? And then how can we improve our service to our clients and candidates through AI? One great use case is that I wanted to create a really sharp SOP for Unico. So I'm going to hire all these people in. Like, how do we do it? Like, what is Unico's SOP? But the thought of sitting there for a weekend or even a week, just like typing out this 40-page document or something, which just absolutely killed me. So I started recording the processes through Fireflies, dropped in ChatGPT with some clear prompts. It's now created this incredible SOP for us, which I couldn't have wrote myself any better. Like, it's absolutely brilliant. Obviously, we've gone and tweaked it, amended different parts, but that saved me hours. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. So, Michael, final thought. You've done incredibly well. 2 years, you've done over 2 million in revenue. You've got a plan to get to 3 million, triple headcount in the next 12 months. And I want to get you back on and see how you are in the next year or so on that. If someone's listening and they're maybe looking at starting their agency in 2026, or they're a founder who wants to emulate the type of stuff you've done in 2026, if you could give people one thing, and I only want one, just one thing to think about, what would it be?
One thing to think about. For me at this stage, it all comes down to being different. Have a genuine go-to-market or value proposition to your clients, which makes them want to use you. So for me, I never wanted to just replicate other IT recruitment. What is the point? Like, it doesn't make us any difference. So how can I do things?
We care about our people is not enough of a USP, is it? We care about our candidates, which is what most people go out with. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm niche. I've got 15 years of experience. We care. Like, great. Everyone says that. What genuine value can you add? Because if you nail that with a good go-to-market, you will pull jobs and make placements and build a proper brand. If you don't, you are just another recruitment company doing exactly the same, which your competitors have done for the last 10 years.
Mate, thank you so much. That was incredible. If anyone's listening and wants to reach out to you and ask you any questions via LinkedIn, I imagine that's okay if I tag you and everything, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No problem at all.
Mate, and we'll get you back on in the future. Good luck for 2026. I'm excited for what you're going to achieve.
Please do, yeah. Thanks a lot, Sean. Appreciate it.
Thanks again for listening to today's episode of the RAG Podcast. If you haven't already, please do subscribe wherever you listen to this show. As the more subscribers we get, the more people will listen and the more recruitment owners we can help. As a recruitment founder, you must know that things are changing. AI is everywhere. Cold outreach is getting harder and job boards, well, they're not what they used to be. But personally, despite the negativity, I believe the future is the greatest opportunity of our lifetime in recruitment, because for the first time ever, a founder with 5 recruiters with a clear niche and the right systems can build the kind of influence, reach, and profitability that used to take 500 recruiters and a global office network. The agencies that are winning right now aren't necessarily the biggest, but they are the most visible, the most trusted, and the ones building inbound demand. At Hoxo, we're working with clients who are running multiple 6 and 7 figures in net profit, outperforming the negative noise and headlines. So, to explain what these guys are doing, I've created a brand new free masterclass video for RAG listeners. In this video, it's less than 10 minutes long. I'm going to show you what these businesses are doing differently from the rest. So the link's in the description. Fill in the form, watch the video, and see exactly how this system that these clients are using could work for your agency. Good luck.